that Bronny's agent, Rich Paul, has notified teams outside of the Lakers and Suns that if they take Bronny in this draft, that he would then go play in Australia. Right now, pick number 53 is on the clock. Lakers pick at number 55. The Athletic reports that the Nuggets and Jamal Murray have come to terms on a 4-year max extension worth $209 million. Contavious Caldwell-Pope on the Nuggets is expected to opt out of his contract, while Celtics forward Kristaps Porzingis will miss 5 to 6 months following successful surgery on his left leg injury. Day baseball, Cubs and Giants tied up at 3 in the 8th. Twins lead the Diamondbacks in the 7th, 13-5. I'm Dan Beyer.
It's the Full Court Press with Eric Franson and Jason Walker.
Welcome back to the to the show that we're doing right now.
Following the local teams, breaking down the biggest games with in-depth analysis and team interviews.
There's going to be much higher expectations, sense of awareness of what we bring to the table.
Join the show by calling into 435-752-1069 or text 435-339-0321. It's the Full Court Press.
Rose, ends up, yes! Caught! Touchdown! They did it!
Hello and welcome on to the Full Court Press. Jason Walker here, all by my lonesome today on the show. Mentioned yesterday that Eric Franson would not be here. He's taking a nice little long weekend. He's been busting his butt last couple of weeks, getting the whole office ready for the Best of Northern Utah, which the open house that we had yesterday, obviously, it was big success, had a lot of businesses, and you'll be able to read all about the winners and all that great stuff with the Best of Northern Utah. I read about that on CashValleyDaily.com. So it'll just be me today. Tomorrow, I believe we'll have on Ajay Salveson to help me out on a Friday edition of the show, but he couldn't make it today. So just me running the solo act here. If you want to join the show, join me. You can text the Full Court Press text line 435-339-0321. That's the number you can text to be on the Full Court Press text line. Maybe do a roll call because I'm still not 100% sure I can run these new boards. So you can text in, do a quick roll call, or you can text in any reactions to the NBA draft, which took place, the first round took place yesterday. Second round in progress. Of course, the only thing that national outlets care about, as you heard at the top of the hour, is Bronny James, who may or may not get drafted. Now, those of you listening, there was news about him maybe going to Australia. If he doesn't get picked by the Lakers, I guess, I don't know, just a presumption. He's not good enough to get drafted anyway, but I don't know, maybe there were some teams that were wanting to say, hey, we'll draft Bronny James so we can get LeBron James to come to our team. I guess that was about the only way Bronny was ever going to get drafted, other than by the Lakers, who would presumably just draft him so they can reunite him or unite him with LeBron James. It's not like he's been away. It's just to have them play in the NBA together, which would be a really cool story, father and son. It's an interesting situation there. So 9315 saying, so if Bronny's agent said he will only play for the Lakers or the Suns, does that mean his dad might ask to be traded to the Suns? We need a deflator on the show when the guys are gone, even if you have to pull out the Brinks truck or moon pie to lure him in. Yeah, I was. Well, to be honest, it's not actually Ajay's fault. He had I'm not going to name names for exactly who. Maybe I'll let Ajay let it all out tomorrow when he's on the show. But Ajay wanted to be on the show today because I texted him yesterday saying, hey, can you be on the show? And so he wanted to be on the show today, but things couldn't quite make it. I didn't have to bribe him to be there. It's just schedule didn't work out for him. So, yeah, and I'm not 100% sure like what Rich Paul is doing is like if he wants him to be on the Suns or because those are kind of the two teams they were thinking is it's going to be the Lakers just because that's where LeBron is now or the Suns because LeBron, I think, has an opt-out. I think he has a player option or something to that effect. He has, I think, he could fairly easily move to another team, I believe. I've not followed that too closely because I quite frankly don't care. about this whole Bronny James saga, but has some interest. It's something that has been in my peripheral vision, but I haven't dug deep into it. I think it's kind of weird. 7241 saying Jason by himself turns off radio. All right, I see how it is. 7241. You can go watch. I know 7241 is probably watching Team USA, as they should have started by now their match against Panama in Copa America. That'll be taking place during the show. In fact, I probably need to pull up either the video or some kind of game cast, because I want to try and keep you guys updated if you're not already watching it. As Team USA trying to advance in Copa America, chance if they win this game today, I believe that puts them in the knockout round, pretty much guaranteed. They won their first game against Bolivia, which only got a quick mention on our show a couple days ago when we were revealing Pick 6. They beat Bolivia 2-0, and if they beat Panama, then they will, whether they be first or second kind of depends on what Uruguay does when they play Bolivia today, and when the U.S. plays Uruguay in the third game of the group stage. Group C, I think, is what the U.S. are in. I certainly can't remember which group, but it's U.S., Uruguay, Panama, and Bolivia. So not the toughest group, to be honest. But it's something worth paying attention to. 8968 says, if Bronny James goes to Australia, will Big James go with him? I love calling him Big James. I'm going to have to use that now. Bronny James, 8968 said Brownie James. I don't know if that was intentional or not, or if that's a text to speech, speech to text issue there. But yeah, LeBron wouldn't go to Australia. Yeah, it's just this weird situation where you have Bronny James essentially. It's complete nepotism here. Like, as far as him getting into college and getting into USC and all that, like, he was good enough. Like, he was a highly rated recruit, maybe slightly overrated, maybe in the same way that Archie Manning was. You know, when he went to Texas, where he was like this 5-star recruit, and like everyone's saying, okay, he's the best. Like, is he that good, or is it because his last name is Manning? But Archie Manning clearly was good, and so was Bronny James in high school. And being highly recruited and getting to USC and all that, clearly he was, earning his way to that. And that wasn't just a product of LeBron James. Now is when we're looking for him to make the transition from college to the NBA, this is pure LeBron just, carrying him, using his influence, his agent's influence and all that. It's, he has, at this point, like maybe he develops, maybe he could spend another year or two in college. He has no business making the jump to the NBA right now, but he is, because that's it's the most advantageous to him. And he's being carried by his father in, which is a shame, as some people have pointed out. Like, when you have the son of one of the greatest players in the history of the game, I mean, Michael Jordan's son kind of went through this as well, where there was a lot placed on him. And he wasn't really allowed to be his own basketball player. Bronny James hasn't really been allowed to be his own basketball player. He's entirely defined by everyone's interest in LeBron. So maybe you feel bad for him, or maybe you don't, because he's had a relatively easy life as far as his physical needs. Although maybe emotionally, rich people problems, I guess. He has the problem of not being able to live his own life because of his famous father. 9315 saying, I actually have a worker from Peru that has a son that plays for the Peru national soccer team. Well, there you go. It's pretty cool. It's nice having those connections. I don't know, is Peru in... I feel like Peru is playing Copa America. I haven't looked through all the, The thing is, we have the Americas, soccer tournament with North and South America, and then we have the Euros going on pretty much at the same time. The European Championship, but the European Championship is like a week ahead as far, because they're just barely getting into the knockouts, and Copa America still has like 2 more games in group stage for most everybody before they get to their knockout stage. It's like they offset. I don't know if they did that on purpose. To be honest, I kind of prefer that, or maybe have them like run back to back, like first the Euros, then Copa America. But we've also got the Olympics, which I think a lot of these teams should be participating in the Olympics too. So that's all. Again, we'll keep an eye on Copa America, specifically Team USA, because there are European games going on, but I think those tend to happen later in the evening, just because there's a big time difference between us and Europe. But a lot of the Copa America games, it's pretty much the same time zones we have in the U.S. But let's get into kind of the lead topic of the day. Biggest news, at least as far as local teams, maybe outside of Team USA, and that is the Utah Jazz. We had the first round of the NBA draft yesterday. Second round, as well, I already mentioned, ongoing. They're at the 41st overall pick, I think. Maybe beyond that, or maybe my page hasn't loaded. Oh, we're in the 50s. Yeah, my page just hadn't loaded. Oh, and yeah, USC took Bronny James. Probably just barely. So there's your news there. We can get off talking about Bronny James, but we'll talk about the Utah Jazz because so the second round is about to finish. The Jazz are presumably done unless they decide to trade for one of these last three picks in the draft, 56, 57, or 58, and if they do, then obviously we'll talk about that. But the Jazz had 3 picks going into this draft, and they ultimately used all 3 of them. There's no reports of any trades that they've done. They didn't make any trades on the day, and unless they decide to make any trades in the near future, they will be bringing in 3 rookies to this team. They had pick number 10, which they used to draft Cody Williams. They had pick 29, which they used to draft actually one of Bronny James's teammates, Isaiah Collier. And then with the 32nd pick, which is the second pick in the second round, they took Duke's Kyle Filipowski. So those are the 3 players that the Utah Jazz have brought in. If you have any thoughts on those players, feel free to text in. I personally really like this draft. I was kind of iffy on Kyle Filipowski. I don't really care. And when it's the second pick in the second round, it's like, all right, pick whatever guy you want. There's nobody there's players that people fall in love with in the early second round, and 90% of those guys just end up being meh players at best. So I'm not really going to get, super high or super low on a second round pick. Early second round, it's a little more justifiable because that's, it's still a decent pick. The huge drop off in the chance that guys will have playing time doesn't tend to happen until 40th. If you're 40th or below in the NBA draft, there's a decent chance you never play in the NBA and an even less chance you'll actually have a career worth noting. But so that early second round, still a chance to find decent players, but even then, not a ton. But looking at the guys they did end up taking, I have to say that I like them. I said it on social media, I think last night, where I said I'm like a lot of Jazz fans. I like this draft. I don't think it's franchise changing, but it's a good draft for where the Jazz picked, for who they got. Great players. You get a guy, Cody Williams at number 10. When I looked at this consensus big board, I was looking at it last night, but basically it compiled all of the major mock drafts for the NBA. The Athletic, Bleacher Report, Tankathon, ESPN, basically every notable one. They kind of weight some of them differently just because some tend to be a little more credible. I tend to really like John Hollander's stuff. I think it was John Hollander, The Athletic, where I really like their analysis of the NBA draft. Sam Vecini, I think also. I may have been thinking of Vecini, where I really like The Athletic's draft stuff. The Ringer has really thorough stuff. NBADraft.net is not as credible as I used to think they were. Tankathon's kind of iffy, but so they kind of weight them. But that consensus big board had Cody Williams as the 8th best prospect, and the Jazz got him at 10. They had Isaiah Collier, I think, at 21. Jazz got him at 29. And then Filipowski, I think, was 24, and they got him at 32. In fact, some of the earliest, I had somebody point this out to me. One of the earliest, this guy had created his own consensus mock board. his first snapshot that he took actually had all three of Cody Williams, Isaiah Collier, and Kyle Filipowski in the top 15 of prospects. So Collier and Filipowski obviously fell after that snapshot, as there was more scrutiny placed on those two players. But there, at one point, these guys were all really highly thought of recruits. In fact, something else that was pointed out to me is that all three of these guys were top 5 recruits in their high school class. Like, I think Cody Williams was number 5 in the class of 2023. Collier was number 1 in the class of 2023. USC picked up the number 1 recruit when they got him. And both Cody Williams and Isaiah Collier were one-and-done prospects. Kyle Filipowski, he was a 2-year player. He did his freshman and sophomore year at Duke. He was the number 4 recruit in the 2022 class. So these guys have, at least at one point, been considered high-potential guys. I really quick want to go to the Full Court Press text line. 9-15, once again saying this draft will make the Jazz end up doing the worst tank job next year. Not impressed. You don't like it? I'm curious, because I don't. That might be the first negative review I've heard of the Jazz draft class. I kind of want to hear your opinion, like what you would have preferred. Because yeah, I mean, short of the Jazz finding a way to find a star player, maybe trading up, which they explored. They tried to look to trade for 4 or 5. I think they were maybe looking to get Stephen Castle. There were also reports that they were potentially interested in Zach Edey, who went number 9, and I've noted my not necessarily liking him as far as his NBA potential. But yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily disagree with 9-5 and that the Jazz may end up trying to tank next year, but I think they're trying to set up for the future. And I actually want to get to that in the next segment. We'll take a break in a couple minutes here. I want to kind of explain something that I kind of realized, and I've already expressed this thought on social media, but an interesting, couple of picks the Jazz have made over the last couple of years, and maybe seeing them try to create a certain type of team and build a framework which they can eventually put a star into. But going back to the Full Court Press text line 2122, saying, do you think the Jazz should have taken Dalton Knecht? I kind of would have liked that, and I made my love for Dalton Knecht known, and of course now we have a bunch of Laker fans who are talking about Knecht being, the next Klay Thompson. Like, there was literally, I forget who did it exactly. I think it was a Laker fan, but they were literally comparing Knecht and Klay Thompson, like lining up a bunch of, their age when they got drafted, their height, their weight, shooting percentages, except it was funny because almost none of them matched. Like, Knecht was 2 years older than Klay Thompson was. And, he's slightly taller, I think, than Klay is, or slightly taller or slightly shorter. I can't remember which one, but, they were I think their weight was pretty close. So, there was one random kind of similarity there. It was just really weird to see them tying up Knecht. And he did fall a lot further. He was there at 10. I wasn't 100% sure he was going to be there at 10, but obviously he went all the way down to 17. But the thing is, my love for a guy like Dalton Knecht and also Nikola Topic, who was available at 10, he ended up going, I think, 12 to OKC. I liked both Knecht and Topic. If Cody Williams hadn't been on the board, I would have been begging the Jazz, take Knecht or Topic. Those were the two picks. But my love for those two players was kind of dependent on a guy like Cody Williams not being there. Because Cody Williams was a player that I liked, is a player that I liked. But I assumed he wasn't going to be available. So I do think Knecht maybe has a bit of a higher scoring potential. Actually, Cody Williams is a bit raw in terms of his scoring potential. But I like when Cody Williams was still available on the board, and when the Jazz went up at 10 and Cody Williams was there, I was like, dude, if they take him, I'm perfectly fine if they pass on Knecht or Topic. Because even though I love those two players, I think I like Cody Williams as far as his fit and his potential to impact this Jazz team. I like that even more than I like the idea of Topic or Knecht. So I would have loved to have Knecht on the Jazz if they'd managed, if they'd maybe traded up from 29/32. I don't think they could have gotten all the way to 17 with just those 2 picks. That's a bit high to be trading those 2 picks for. If Connected fallen further to like 19 or 20, then maybe the Jazz could have made that move. But I'm not torn up over Dalton Knecht not ending up on the Jazz, as much as I like him as a prospect. I think the Jazz came out well with the players they grabbed, which we'll go ahead and take a break, and we'll get in. I'll offer some details on these players, just a quick rundown. I'm not going to go super in-depth on each of these players, but just getting to know these players a little bit, who they are, what their stats are, what their strengths and weaknesses are, kind of on a broad basis, so you can understand who are the 3 rookies the Jazz are bringing in to join this team, which may end up tanking next year. That coming up next here on the Full Court Press.
Summer in Cache Valley is beautiful, and the Sportsman on Main Street has all your bike needs covered. Get your bike in now for service or a tune-up. We can usually get your service done in about 2 days. Be ready for the beautiful riding days ahead. If you need a new bike, we have kids to adult full suspension mountain bikes and e-bikes for around town or the mountains. From bikes to helmets to locks and clothing, come and see us at the Sportsman on Main Street in downtown Logan for all your biking needs.
Rely now on a York Affinity Premium Comfort System to keep your home cool and comfortable. The new Affinity systems are smarter and more connected and more efficient than ever before, and you can cut your energy costs by as much as 50%. Call Advanced Heating and Air Conditioning, your local York dealer, to schedule a free system evaluation. Advanced Heating and Air Conditioning showroom is west of DI and online at advancedheating-ac.com.
We're not comfortable until you are. Advanced Heating and Air.
What can a business technology partner do for you? Well, a great one like Les Olson IT will help you become more efficient, more secure, and help you stay on top of your network. Plus, they have all the products and services you need. Computers, servers, business telephones, surveillance cameras, office applications are just the start. Les Olson IT's network cabling team can help you build a network from scratch or improve your existing network. Learn more about your office technology partner at lesolson.com.
Les Olson IT.
No matter what the conditions, DD Auto and Salvage can get your vehicle up and off your property. Now is the time to plan to make extra cash by calling DD Auto and Salvage and moving that old vehicle. Let them pay you for that junk vehicle. DD Auto and Salvage makes it so easy to get rid of your junker vehicles, paying you the most money possible. If you have metal, DD Auto and Salvage in Logan wants to pay you today. Call 787-1204.
That's 787-1204 today.
See store for details.
On the familiar corner of 4th North and 1st West, Beezer Lock and Key has been keeping Cache Valley safe for 30 years. Beezer has repaired, replaced, or helped build thousands of projects in Cache Valley with secure door hardware, including locking systems, panic hardware, door closers, and more. It's always been more than simply cutting a key. Your family and business safety come first. Beezer Lock and Key knows how to provide top-notch security solutions that stand unmatched in the industry. Visit 4th North and 1st West in Logan, or go to beezerlock.com to discover more.
Nothing better than a great song from 1976. Hi, this is Bob Larson with LSS Insurance, and I'm talking to you, graduating class of 76. Even if you're still working or getting ready to retire, Medicare is a conversation we need to have. Let us help you understand Medicare and all your options. Don't rely on TV ads or annoying phone calls. Having a local agent makes all the difference. Call LSS at 752-9493. Call 752-9493.
Nearly 21 years ago, Cafe Sabor opened their doors in historic Logan train station. With the help of hundreds of amazing employees and patronage of thousands of wonderful customers, Cafe Sabor is proud to have been voted 3 years in a row Cache Valley's favorite Mexican restaurant in the Best of Northern Utah contest. Follow Cafe Sabor on social media for giveaways and promotions. Search Cafe Sabor for a restaurant near you. Thank you, Cache Valley, from your friends at Cafe Sabor.
It's the Full Court Press with Eric Franson and Jason Walker.
It's a Full Court Press here with Jason Walker, all by my lonesome. Eric Franson will be back on Monday, so it'll be myself. By myself for today. Ajay Salveson should be on tomorrow. I guess warning or just for some people I know, I haven't always liked Ajay, but I know a lot of you do. So always enjoy having him on. And we'll maybe get to hear some of his jazz realism, as he likes to brand it. I'm trying to get my own, I guess, jazz realism, just analysis of the Jazz and the NBA draft they just had, as I believe it's concluded now. I think we have one more pick. Although the pick is in, so we just don't know who it is yet. It may have already been announced. Who knows? I'm just watching ESPN's little page. Oh, there we go. Last pick is in and selected. So that's the 2024 NBA draft wrapped up. The Utah Jazz took Cody Williams at number 10, Isaiah Collier at 29, and Kyle Filipowski out of Duke. They took him at 32. So starting with Cody Williams, just getting a bit of a rundown on Cody Williams. 19 and a half years old, averaged about 12 points, 3 rebounds, 1.5 assists, just under a steal, just under a block per game as well. So kind of showing off versatility as well. You don't always see guys able to average close to a steal and close to a block per game. And he also averaged about 2 turnovers per game. Shot 55% from the field, 41% from three-point, and 71% on free throws. Just kind of going over some of his strengths. He's got great length. He's 6'8", 7'1" wingspan, and he's got the athleticism to pair with that. He's a guy that can play shooting guard, small forward, and if he adds some bulk, he's a guy that could guard 2, 3, and 4. Shooting guard, small forward, and power forward very comfortably. And every now and again, maybe switch onto a point guard and maybe bother his center slightly with a bit of his length if he has to get posted up on him. Obviously, you wouldn't. Ideally, you wouldn't be having him guard point guards and centers on the regular. But this is a guy with a lot of defensive potential. That was the selling point of him, is he has athleticism, potential, and his shooting. There's some concerns. His 41% shooting came on 1.7 attempts per game. So this is a guy who would have taken about 50 or so, 45 or so 3-pointers all of his freshman year. So not high volume. So it's not a huge sample size. So we're not 100% sure, is that 41% legit? And the 71% on free throws isn't a huge, it doesn't make you super optimistic, because guys who shoot 40% from 3 tend not to shoot as low as 71%. So it's a bit of a concern, but even if it regresses a little bit, he'll still be a viable NBA 3-point shooter. If it drops down to 35%, as a rookie, that's still a viable percentage. And so you feel comfortable even if you're not super excited about that shooting translating for sure. But, he's a guy that has the potential to be a decent slasher with that athleticism. He's not, he's raw on offense. That's a good way to put it. Because he's got some of that 3-point shooting. Maybe, again, I already talked about the potential concerns over shooting and him being unproven in that sense. But and he doesn't have super high-end scoring potential, and so that kind of limits maybe what he can be. I don't know if he's going to develop into, the next superstar who's going to score 27 points a game. I think for him, he has a great potential to be a fantastic 3-and-D player. And if you get that kind of guy at number 10, then you can be all right with that. So that's Cody Williams, just kind of a quick rundown there. Isaiah Collier, he's a guy who, at one point, he was considered one of the best players in this, in the entire college class, and obviously was considered a lottery pick at one point, but had some struggles at USC. There, a lot of the scouting reports, I haven't seen a ton of film of Collier, to be perfectly frank, but a lot of them cited, worries about some decision making, worries about his size. He's not a big point guard. He's 6'3", he's got a 6'4" wingspan, he's about 200 pounds. So he's not huge. There's worries about his quickness. Does he have elite quickness? Can he make that transition to the NBA physically? That was kind of the biggest downgrade. I think that's the thing that kind of got him dropping down into the late first round. Also, his shooting percentages, it was 33, just under 34% in college, which is not a great percentage. It's an okay percentage for college, But moving on to the NBA, you want to be a better three-point shooter. And Collier didn't really show that. His biggest positive, though, is he is a fantastic passer. People rave about his passing ability, his ability in the pick and roll to make things happen. And I think that can really help him in that he definitely has the basketball IQ with his passing, and he can potentially be a starting point guard who's able to run your offense. Maybe not be the leading scorer. He's not going to be a spectacular point of attack defender. But this is a guy who can run your offense and be a great complementary piece. And so that's what the Jazz picked up. At 29, a guy who is projected to go around 21, right, day of the draft, and at one point was projected to be a lottery pick. That's who the Jazz got to pick up there. A guy with fantastic talent, but maybe hasn't lived up to it completely yet. And then finally at 32, the last pick the Jazz took, Kyle Filipowski, 7-foot center, has a negative wingspan. He's listed at 7 foot, and he has a 6'10" and 1/2 inch wingspan. But still fairly young, 20 years old. He'll turn 21 this season. 16 points, 8.3 rebounds, 2.8 assists. That's kind of the one that stands out. Is 2.8 assists for a center is fairly impressive. Average 1 steal, 1.5 blocks, and 2.1 turnovers. Shot 50% from the field, 34, almost 35% from three, and 67% on his free throws. So, the weaknesses for Kyle Filipowski, I'll kind of start with that. The negative wingspan, and they're also not kind of like with Cody Williams, but really more so, I guess maybe more like Isaiah Collier is, his shooting percentage isn't great. 34%, especially for a center, is good, but Kyle Filipowski has to be a floor-stretching center. For him to live up to his potential, there are a lot of comparisons to Kelly Olynyk. Kelly Olynyk made his career off of being one of the best, three-point shooters among centers. Obviously, some of his other skills he struggled a little bit with. It didn't make him he ended up being a journeyman center because he was a good three-point shooter, but that, kind of carried him in his career. And Filipowski has to be able to hit those outside shots because I don't know if he's not going to be bigger than a lot of centers. He's not going to be quicker than a lot of the other centers. And so he needs that skill to set him apart. His passing and his three-point shooting, that's what can carry him through an NBA career. And we're not sure about one of those things. We're not sure that he can be a three-point shooter. He did take a big step forward, shooting 28% from three as a freshman to almost 35% as a sophomore. So we've seen some improvement. So that's a good sign. But you got to kind of keep an eye on it for Kyle Filipowski. So that's kind of a quick rundown on all three of the prospects that the Utah Jazz have brought in. They drafted them. And that's, we'll hopefully see all those guys in the Summer League. We didn't get to see Taylor Hendricks in the Summer League because of a lingering injury. I think Isaiah Collier had an injury as well. So we'll have to see if we get a chance to watch him. But the Jazz Summer League will be coming up early next month. And we will be having a chance for you to win tickets to one of the sessions. I think it's the final one. I think July 10th. Don't quote me on that. But we're going to have details on that soon, how you can win a chance to watch some of these prospects in the Summer League. So one of the things that I actually wanted to get to really quick, though, was a thought that I had about the way the Jazz are building through the draft. Because one thing to note is that because of where the Jazz have been drafting, they can't really find a star. There wasn't a star at number 10, at least that I can tell. I don't know if there was that guy. There kind of always is, but it's not like I could identify him. I couldn't tell you who that star may be, if there even is one, or was one, available to the Jazz at 10. So the Jazz have to be able to draft and try and find the right guys to build this roster with. And so the thought I had was, you look at last year's draft, the Jazz take Taylor Hendricks with number 9. This is a guy who can be a great 3-and-D prospect, 6'10", like a 7'3", I think 7'4" wingspan. a guy who can be a great, power forward, but also a guy who can maybe defend some of these really long, unicorn bigs that we see getting drafted all over the place. Chet Holmgren, Victor Wembanyama. Go down the list. They keep adding him every single year. These types of long, athletic players. And Taylor Hendricks, he doesn't match the size of these guys in the way that you maybe want to, because there's a reason those guys are unicorns that get drafted first and second overall and whatnot. But he's better than nothing, and he has the defensive instincts that you want, and he has that great utility. So you draft him at 9 last year. And for all the whining I've done about not developing him last year, still on the team and can still try and utilize his skill set. Well, then this year they draft Cody Williams at 10. Another defensive player, a guy with a lot of great potential defensively, and is already showing that potential. Because I don't like drafting a guy and say, oh, he's 6'8" and a 7'1" wingspan. Therefore, he can be a good defender. You have to already show that, and Cody Williams already shows that. Already shows that good defense. So they've drafted 2 defensive guys with their first pick. And to me, I feel like that signals like, hey, they're trying to build the kind of roster that you can fit a superstar into and have that roster be able to complement the star. Because you look at the teams that end up going to the NBA championship. They have stars, but the players around them complement those stars. One of the biggest ways to complement the star is by having great defensive players, guys that make a massive impact on defense. I mean, Jaylen Brown, this last year, heck, he won Finals MVP. Heck, Andre Iguodala won Finals MVP as a guy who did it entirely pretty much with how he impacted LeBron James in that NBA Finals. And just go down the list of these Finals winners, you're going to find those guys who play well on defense and who do a lot of the dirty work, and that's the kind of thing that I think Taylor Hendricks and Cody Williams could do on this roster. I don't think either are going to be stars. I don't know if either are even going to be like one of the top 3 players on the Jazz in a theoretical situation where the Jazz win a title. But they would be absolutely crucial players as far as defending opponents, getting rebounds, getting their hands dirty in the paint. So I like these picks as you see them coming together. And it's not like they're only going after these defensive guys. They got Keontae George. He's a scorer. They got Isaiah Collier. He's a point guard, a passer. They get Kyle Filipowski. He can be the Kelly Olynyk replacement. You don't have to go over the one type of player, but the Jazz are going after guys that they can fit into a roster that have complementary skills and a broad spectrum of skills. So not only do I like some of the players the Jazz have brought in, I was a little more skeptical of last year's picks. I wasn't huge on Taylor Hendricks. I wasn't huge on Keontae George. I've been proven wrong on Keontae George in that respect, and we haven't seen anything out of Taylor Hendricks yet because he hasn't played a ton. But as I see these picks coming together, I like how a lot of these picks complement each other. They're not just going after random guys. And it's also great because it's not like they're reaching to find a fit. They didn't reach for Cody Williams. Cody Williams fell to them. They didn't reach for Isaiah Collier. He fell to them. Same with Kyle Filipowski. So, and that's kind of why I like this draft is they got 3 guys who fit, who have great talent, and based on where the Jazz got them, it could be a steal. Now, it never really works out as well as you want it to on draft night because at least 2 of these guys are probably going to be busts. That's just how it always kind of is. But for now, I think we can be excited about who the Jazz picked up because I like these players and I like what they can bring to the Jazz. Again, not these franchise-changing players, but they're guys that can lift the floor or even potentially help break the ceiling of the Jazz based on their ability to be top-level role players. All right, we got to take another break. When we come back, I'm going to search some updates for Team USA. I actually haven't kept an eye on that as much as I thought I would. update on that, and then thoughts on EA Sports, College Football 25. They've been releasing some things this week. I want to maybe get your thoughts on it, maybe give my own thoughts on these rankings essentially, that EA Sports put out about college football teams, the venues they play in, who has the best offenses, who has the best defenses. So we'll get into that coming up next here on the Full Court Press.
At Cache Valley Bank, it's their people that make the difference.
Hello, I'm Ivan Cherry, Commercial Loan Officer at Cache Valley Bank. My family and I love this valley and enjoy connecting with its people and communities. I appreciate the opportunities I've had to work closely with local businesses to tailor solutions to meet their financial goals. Come visit me at our Hiram branch or give me a call and let me show you what opening an account with Cache Valley Bank can do for you. We look forward to meeting you. Cache Valley Bank, member FDIC.
Daryl's one-day Independence Day event is here. This is Jay at Daryl's Appliance. We are starting our promotion early. Stop in June 29th for big savings on quality appliances. Plus, save up to 30% off select appliances including Whirlpool, GE, Maytag, and more. Save even more with up to $600 in exclusive mail-in rebates. 12-month financing available. That's Daryl's Independence Day sale June 29th. The Valley's guaranteed lowest price with the best service. Daryl's West on Airport Road, open until 6 p.m. on weekdays, 5 on Saturday.
Hi, I'm Jay Broadbent with Alpine Home Medical. I'd like to invite you to learn more about us. Since 1997, we've been Utah's premier one-stop shop for home medical equipment. What sets us apart at Alpine Home Medical is the superior level of customer service. We provide home oxygen, CPAPs, wheelchairs, scooters, breast pumps, and so much more. Come on down and get to know us.
Alpine Home Medical, we bring wellness home.
Visit alpinehomemedical.com.
When grid failures and severe weather cause power outages, your business might take a hit, or at home, you could lose your refrigerated food storage. Generac Standby Power Solutions help ensure an uninterrupted power supply. Generac is the #1 brand of standby generators. Get yours today from Golden Spike Electric, your trusted source for safety and security. Golden Spike Electric, powering your peace of mind. Online at gsegenerators.com or call 257-3016. They also service other models.
Girls, us guys are always trying to score some brownie points, but we need all the help we can get. So dropping some subtle hints is helpful, such as your favorite food is Italian, you love the color green, and you want the ring from Jarek's Fine Jewelry, the place with the bright green cars on 930 North Main Street. Okay, so it might not be so subtle, but that's okay. Remember, we need the help. Make it special, make it Jarek's. Now remember, just tell him it's the place with the bright green cars.
Cache Valley Ear, Nose, and Throat and the Allergy Clinic now have an office located inside the Miller Medical Building in Tremonton. Every Friday, Northern Utah's premier ear, nose, and throat medical physicians and staff will provide Box Elder County a better option to be seen. Cache Valley Ear, Nose, and Throat and the Allergy Clinic are now located in Tremonton. Save time, schedule your appointment today. Go to CacheValleyENT.com. That's CacheValleyENT.com for details. Most insurance products, including SelectMed, are accepted.
The Aggies, Jazz, high schools, even the Pee Wee's T-ball team. It's the Full Court Press on Sports Talk Radio, The Fan.
They're nearing halftime in the USA-Panama Copa America group stage matchup. Not going spectacular for USA, but it's not a disaster. Timothy Way got a red card in the 18th minute on the U.S.'s attackers, although the U.S. then scored a goal 4 minutes later to go up 1-0, down a man. But Panama responded just 4 minutes after that. We're tied 1 apiece, just about to head into the 43rd minute, so just a few minutes away from halftime. So if you're U.S., maybe you're just kind of hoping for a tie, maybe another lucky goal down a man. Getting to 4 points would be a really big help in making sure that the U.S. can potentially advance to group stage. But it does complicate things because then a lot comes down to that match with Uruguay, and that's going to be the toughest game of the group stage, I think, at least in my opinion. Maybe I haven't looked at the world rankings, but This was a game the U.S. really should be winning. But once you get that early red card, an 18th minute red card, then that just changes the entire dynamic of the game. And especially when you give up, you're 1-0 with a red card, and you blow it by giving up a goal. That's just kind of unfortunate there. Wanted to bring up something really quick before we finish out the show next segment. That was the College Football 25, some of the rankings they've been putting out. They had one where it was the toughest places to play. They had that a couple days ago. Then they released, today they had the top offenses and defenses. And, some of the toughest places to play, you've got Kyle Field, Texas A&M, Alabama, LSU, Ohio State, and Georgia. Those are your top 5. I don't know about Alabama. Like, it feels like they put, Florida a bit too far down, but I don't know. Wasn't too interested in that. You do have Rice-Eccles Stadium, where the Utes play. They're at number 18. Boise State actually coming in at 24th in, toughest places to play. Then you had the top offenses and defenses. And I think this is where people were really having questions. Not that some of these teams don't belong. There's some that, maybe make sense. The makers of College Football 25 saying the top 10 offenses are Georgia, Oregon, who are actually tied at number 1. They both have a 94 overall defense. Then you have Alabama, Texas, Ohio State, LSU, Miami, Colorado, Missouri, and Clemson in the top 10. Utah actually making number 11, one of Utah State's opponents. Another of the Aggies' opponents, USC, has a 25th ranked offense. I don't think any of the rest of Utah State's opponents are in this top 25 here. But then top 25 defenses, the top 10, you've got Ohio State, Georgia, Oregon, Alabama, Clemson, Notre Dame, Michigan. Most of those teams are all tied with each other at 90 overall. Ohio State far and away with the 96 overall defense. But yeah, Michigan, they're the last 90 overall at number 7. Then you have Texas, Penn State, and Utah at number 10. Again, another one of Utah State's, the same Utah State opponent. So you have Utah looking like they're going to be far and away Utah State's toughest game. Of course, I think any one of us could have told anybody that Utah was going to be the toughest game because of their balanced offense and defense. You got Cam Rising, because a couple years ago when Cam Rising was playing, Utah ranked, I think, 11th or something like that in points per game. They were scoring 38 points per game. They were one of the top offenses. So when you get Cam Rising in there, a lot can happen. Whereas last year, Utah was 100th in points per game. So they were kind of bad on offense. But they got a couple of guys coming back from injury that should make them a lot better. None of Utah State's opponents, actually USC, how does USC have a top 25 defense? I just barely noticed that. USC was one of the worst defenses in the country last year. And they're giving them USC the 16th best defense. That's just kind of crazy. And I didn't want to put too much stock into these rankings, but I wanted to kind of bring it up, just maybe thinking out loud, how likely is it that Utah State kind of gets hosed by this College Football 25? Because it's something that I want to be looking into. I'll probably end up buying the game. Maybe many of you will end up buying the game as well, just to kind of see what it's like, see how authentic it is, and then just getting an idea of that kind of game. It's hey, they're giving a rating to every player. All these players, we're going to give you a rating 0 to 100. Although I think theoretically they're technically the minimum is probably in the 30s. I don't think they actually give players a rating below 30. But, Utah State players are going to have a rating. Jalen Royals is going to have a rating. Where does he rank as far as all the best wide receivers? Ike Larson, where do guys like Spencer Petras or a bunch of relatively unknown guys, where do they all rank? So I'll be honest, I don't have a whole lot of confidence that EA Sports can actually pull this off. One, because it's a Herculean task. How do you rank the third string offensive lineman at Boise State? I don't know how you do that. But in, seeing ratings with Madden, and I know it's not the same company, but seeing ratings with NBA 2K, I'm not confident that these people can get ratings mostly correct. So I'm just kind of preparing myself to see Utah State have basically every player rated like a 65. But it'll be worth seeing. And I'll probably try and do a bunch of fun things, maybe create some content out of College Football 25 around Utah State. We'll see how that goes. Anyway, going to take one last break. We'll finish things up, give one last update in USA and Panama as they're about to hit halftime. Let's see if anything happens between now and then. But we'll finish things up here on the Full Court Press coming up next.
Has this happened to you lately?
Oh! Not again!
A rock hitting your windshield causing a crack in your glass. Your windshield is no longer just a piece of glass. Your windshield plays a big role in you and your family's safety. You want to make sure that you go somewhere that can provide your vehicle with all the necessary calibrations and programming so that your car is back to pre-accident condition. Hi, this is Josh Watts with Preston Watts Collision and Glass, and for 3 generations we have provided Cache Valley with the #1 auto glass, collision, and towing services. We have kept up with the times and strive to provide you with the best customer service you can find. If you're going through insurance, we will waive up to $100 off your insurance deductible. Our reviews say it all. Give us a call at 435-563-3215. That's 435-563-3215. Or look us up online. At Preston Watts Collision and Glass, we do it right.
Retirement. Are you ready? Adams Wealth Advisors specializes in preparing you for a secure retirement. There's no reason to feel frustrated. The team at Adams Wealth will create a personalized plan that includes timing of retirement, reliable income sources, Social Security, estate planning, and more. Adams Wealth Advisors has a team of CPA, certified financial planners, Social Security experts to help you plan and retire with confidence. Call today, 752-1702, or visit adamswealthadvisors.com. That's adamswealthadvisors.com. Your dream retirement starts here.
Do you have a fireplace or stove that isn't working right? Why wait until next winter to get it fixed? Get ahead of the game and get your fireplace or stove serviced now by Advanced Fireplace and Stove. They service everything from Quadra-Fire pellet stoves to heat and glow fireplaces. Get a 20% discount on your next service and labor when you mention this ad. Call 752-7272 or go to advancedfireplaceandstove.com. Advanced Fireplace and Stove, where comfort is their business.
Aegis Home Health and Hospice is your premier healthcare provider. When your loved one needs care, at home, wherever home is, allow Aegis Home Health and Hospice to help. I'm Josh Fenton, part of the Aegis team, where we customize healthcare for optimal results. Our award-winning staff brings character, experience, and trust. Contact us today and see why we were voted Best of Northern Utah. Call 435-723-9000 or visit our website at myaegis.com.
This is Ryan at My Mattress. Have you seen the semis parked in front of our 2 stores in Logan? They're chock full of mattresses, fabric headboards, and bedding at pennies on the dollar. Twin mattresses, $99. Queens only $199. Every size and quality available for pickup or delivery. Headboards, new in box, normally $400, only $50. Mattress protectors, normally $79, only $15. Truckloads of everything to help you sleep better, only at both Logan My Mattress locations. Isn't it time to sleep exceptionally?
They never could play it, but they sure can talk about it. Eric Franson and Jason Walker on the Full Court Press.
Just a reminder about Napa Auto Parts, sponsor of the show. They've got great deals on oil. They got all the parts you need. 5 locations, Preston to Providence. Napa Auto Parts. Finishing up the show here in this final segment. Thank you for those who texted in on the Full Court Press text line. Final update for the show were the USA and Panama. They've gone to halftime. It is 1-1. The U.S. kind of bungling things a little bit here where they got the early red card in the 18th minute, but still scored a goal to go up 1-0, but then quickly gave up a response. So kind of just hoping for a tie or maybe a miracle to go up 2-1 because that would guarantee a spot in the knockout round. obviously things aren't hanging on a thread for the U.S. They still control their destiny, even with a tie here. Like I said, it's not going well, but it's not a disaster. Plenty of ways to get out of that in Copa America. But just finishing things up here, just recapping with the Utah Jazz with their picks. Gotta love what they managed to do. I know it seemed like 9-5 wasn't too happy with it. Unfortunately, I guess not everybody loved it. I know not everybody loved the Kyle Filipowski pick for the Utah Jazz, but pretty much everyone I saw as far as giving grades, and maybe we'll spend a little bit of time going over draft grades, where the Jazz rank as far as national draft grades, because obviously those you have to start grading the draft the second it's over. Gotta grade everyone. That you can probably go online and probably find a draft grade right now of somebody grading how every team did in the draft. But I have to imagine a lot of them would be high because the Jazz got good value for the picks they had. They weren't in great places to draft. At number 10, there weren't going to be any stars available. A lot of the high-end guys were already gone. And, at 29, there's usually never anybody there. Sometimes you can find a decent role player there. Sometimes you can find an All-NBA guy. I mean, they found Rudy Gobert at 27. And there have been guys in that late first round, early second. So maybe the Jazz would have picked up somebody good. We'll have to wait and see if Isaiah Collier is that. We'll have to wait and see how Cody Williams, Filipowski do. But overall, have to be excited about it. But that'll do it for me today. We'll talk to you tomorrow. More local sports here on The Fan.
I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise. The PGA Tour's rivalry with LIV Golf is no secret, but even after seemingly squashing that beef with the reported merger, there's still some friction. Take a look back at the Ryder Cup. Bryson DeChambeau was left off the team in favor of a struggling Justin Thomas. The U.S. went on to lose to Team Europe. One would think Team USA would learn from that mistake. With the Summer Olympics fast approaching, it appears he will not be on the U.S. team as well. After a win at the U.S. Open, a second-place finish at the PGA Championship, DeChambeau was ruled ineligible for this year's Olympic roster. The committee has opted for 2023 U.S. Open champ Wyndham Clark. Clark's put together some strong outings this season, but his play hasn't matched DeChambeau as of late. And with Bryson DeChambeau playing like one of the world's best golfers, LIV's exclusion from the world golf rankings and the Olympics could come back to haunt Team USA. I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise.